For generations, Lucille Ball was the heartbeat of American comedy. Her laughter echoed through living rooms, her face was as familiar as family, and her wit could light up even the darkest day. But behind the dazzling smile and the iconic red hair, there was a story few ever truly saw, a story of heartbreak, resilience, and a final, unforgettable moment that left the world in tears. As the 1980s drew to a close, Lucille Ball's name still shimmered in the Hollywood sky, but her world had grown quiet. The woman who once made 44 million people laugh every Monday night now found herself surrounded by silence. Her grand Beverly Hills home, once alive with parties and laughter, had become a place of solitude. Old friends had faded away, her children lived far from home, and even the comfort of her second husband, Gary Morton, couldn't chase away the shadows that lingered in the halls. Lucille Ball had been America's queen of comedy, but in her final years, she was haunted by memories, of triumph, of loss, and of a world that seemed to have moved on without her. The end of her last sitcom, Life with Lucy, in 1986, was a blow she never truly recovered from. She had come out of retirement, hoping to prove she still had the magic. Instead, the show was cancelled after just 8 episodes. For the first time, the laughter didn't come. Critics called it a painful farewell. Friends whispered that Lucy took it to heart, reading the reviews late into the night, wondering if her time had passed. It was more than just a failed show. It was a sign that the world she helped build was slipping away. The comedians she once inspired now ruled television, but few ever called. The woman who had broken every barrier for women in entertainment now sat alone, watching reruns of I Love Lucy, sometimes laughing, sometimes wiping away a tear. Physically, she was fading too. Decades of smoking had left her lungs weak, and by 1988, her heart was struggling. Yet, she refused to admit defeat. "I'm fine," she'd insist, even as she struggled to walk across the room. When friends urged her to slow down, she'd reply, "I don't know how to stop." That stubbornness had built her career, but now, it was all she had left. But how does someone who brought so much joy to the world end up feeling so alone? Was it the price of fame, or something deeper? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'm curious to know what you think. Lucille Ball's story began far from the bright lights of Hollywood. Born on August 6, 1911, in Jamestown, New York, she was a small-town girl with big dreams. But her childhood was marked by tragedy. At just 3 years old, she lost her father to typhoid fever. The memory of that day, her mother's tears, a picture falling from the wall, and a bird trapped inside the house, haunted her for the rest of her life. That bird became a symbol of her grief, a fear she could never shake. Even as an adult, she refused to stay in hotel rooms with bird wallpaper, the memory too painful to ignore. Her mother, overwhelmed and pregnant with Lucille's younger brother, sent Lucy to live with relatives. She grew up feeling like an outsider, learning early how to hide her pain behind a smile. When her mother remarried, things didn't get easier. Her stepfather's parents were strict, banning mirrors so the children wouldn't become vain. Lucy learned to pretend everything was fine, even when it wasn't. Then, another tragedy struck. At 12, a neighbor boy was accidentally shot during target practice in their backyard. The boy was paralyzed, and his family sued. The Balls lost everything: their home, their savings, their sense of security. Lucy's grandfather, racked with guilt, never worked again. "One accident destroyed us," she would later say. By her late 20s, Lucille Ball had faced more rejection than most people endure in a lifetime. She dreamed of acting, but her teachers in New York told her she had no talent. One even sent her home, telling her mother not to waste another dime on lessons. That humiliation could have ended her dreams, but instead, it made her stronger. She took modeling jobs, moved to Hollywood, and became known as the Queen of the B-movies, appearing in over 75 films, always the sidekick, never the star. But Lucy never stopped learning. Every set taught her something new. And then, in 1940, everything changed. On the set of Too Many Girls, she met a young Cuban bandleader named Desi Arnaz. He was charming, unpredictable, and full of life. They fell in love fast, eloping in Connecticut just months after meeting. Everyone said it wouldn't last. In many ways, they were right. Desi drank, stayed out late, and was unfaithful. Lucy, who had spent her life craving stability, found herself in chaos once again. But she loved him fiercely, believing that if they worked together, they could save each other. That hope gave birth to I Love Lucy. When CBS wanted to adapt her radio show for television, Lucy insisted Desi play her on-screen husband. The network balked, claiming America wouldn't accept an interracial couple. Lucy refused to back down. She and Desi took their act on the road, proving their chemistry to live audiences. CBS finally relented, and I Love Lucy became a sensation. Every Monday night, the nation tuned in to watch Lucy and Ricky Ricardo. At its peak, the show drew more viewers than the president's address. Lucy's genius was her willingness to do anything for a laugh, her physical comedy, her timing, her fearlessness. But behind the scenes, her marriage was unraveling. Desi's infidelity continued, and Lucy's heart broke a little more with each rumor. On camera, they were America's perfect couple. Off camera, she cried alone. It was always the same, booze and broads, she once said. Still, she stayed, hoping love could survive fame. For a while, it did. But when I Love Lucy ended in 1957, the cracks were too deep to hide. The world adored Lucy and Ricky, but the real Lucille Ball was quietly falling apart. Then came the Red Scare. In the early 1950s, America was gripped by fear. Senator Joseph McCarthy's witch hunts destroyed careers overnight. In 1953, a rumor spread that a famous red-headed actress had once been a communist. Newspapers splashed the headline, "Lucille Ball named Red." The accusation stemmed from a decision Lucy had made nearly 20 years earlier, registering as a communist to please her grandfather. She never attended meetings, never discussed politics, and quickly forgot about it. But now, in the hysteria of the Cold War, that forgotten choice threatened everything. Sponsors panicked. Millions of dollars were at stake. If the public turned on her, the empire she and Desi had built, Desilu Studios, could collapse. Lucy faced the accusations head-on, meeting with investigators and calmly explaining her actions. "I have never been a communist," she declared. Desi stood by her side, telling the audience before a live taping, "The only thing red about Lucy is her hair, and even that's not legitimate." The crowd erupted in applause. The crisis passed, but the scars remained. After I Love Lucy ended, Lucille Ball was the most powerful woman in television. She and Desi owned Desilu Productions, the studio behind future classics like Star Trek and Mission Impossible. But the success that had once held their marriage together now tore it apart. Their fights were loud and bitter. "We weren't fighting for love anymore. We were fighting to survive," Lucy said. In 1960, just one day after Desi's birthday and the filming of their final episode together, she filed for divorce. 2 months later, their 20-year marriage was over. The world was stunned. To millions, they were still Lucy and Ricky. But behind the scenes, Lucille had endured years of betrayal, drinking, and exhaustion. Desi later admitted, "I caused it. My drinking, my temper, I ruined the best thing that ever happened to me." Lucy bought out his shares of Desilu, becoming the first woman to run a major Hollywood studio. But personal peace never followed. In 1961, Lucille married comedian Gary Morton, a kind man 13 years her junior. They stayed together until her death, but it was never the same as her love for Desi. "Gary gave me stability, but Desi gave me fire," she confided to a friend. Even as she moved on, she never truly let go of her first husband. Her children, Lucy and Desi Jr., grew up in the shadow of fame. Lucy followed her mother into acting, while Desi Jr. struggled with addiction and tabloid scandals. In the early 1970s, his romance with actress Patty Duke made headlines. When Duke became pregnant, rumors swirled that Desi Jr. was the father. Lucille was devastated, seeing it as a public humiliation. Though a DNA test later proved otherwise, the damage was done. Lucy withdrew further, focusing on work and trying to protect her family's name. Then, another heartbreak. Vivian Vance, her beloved co-star and best friend, was diagnosed with cancer. Lucy stayed by her side until the end. When Vivian passed away in 1979, Lucille was inconsolable. "Part of me died with her," she told Carol Burnett, one of her last close friends. In November 1986, Lucille Ball received the call she had dreaded for months. Desi Arnaz, her former partner in love and work, was dying of lung cancer. Despite decades apart, Lucy never stopped caring for him. She called often, sent letters, and in his final days, flew to see him one last time. Their daughter Lucy remembered those visits, the laughter, the tears, the forgiveness. On November 30th, their wedding anniversary, Lucy called Desi. Their daughter held the phone to his ear. "Say what you want to say," she told her mother. All Lucy could manage were 3 words, "I love you." She said it again and again. Desi, weak but alert, whispered back, "I love you too, honey. Good luck with your show." 2 days later, Desi Arnaz was gone. Just 5 days after his death, Lucille attended the Kennedy Center honors. She had planned to skip it, but her family convinced her to go. During the ceremony, actor Robert Stack took the stage with a letter from Desi, written just days before he died. Stack read aloud, "The New York Times asked me to divide the credit for I Love Lucy between the writers, the directors, and the cast. I told them, give Lucy 90% of the credit and divide the other 10% among the rest of us. Lucy was the show. Viv, Fred, and I were just props. Damn good props, but props nevertheless. P.S. I Love Lucy was never just a title. As the letter was read, the camera found Lucille. Her hands trembled, her eyes filled with tears. Gary Morton held her hand tightly. For the first time in public, Lucille Ball, the woman who made millions laugh, broke down and cried. The entire theater wept with her. It was the most fitting tribute imaginable, Desi's last words to Lucy, a love letter disguised as a goodbye. A few years later, in 1989, Lucille Ball sat for her final television interview. Her face was thinner, her voice softer, but her humor still sparkled. When asked how she wanted to be remembered, she paused, then said quietly, "For making people happy." The room fell silent. She smiled faintly and added, "That's all I ever wanted." It was a simple answer, but it carried the weight of a lifetime. Months later, Lucille suffered a heart attack. She underwent surgery and seemed to recover, but on April 26, 1989, her heart gave out. She was 77. Lucille Ball's story is a reminder that even the brightest stars carry shadows behind their light. She made the world laugh, but her own life was marked by sorrow, resilience, and a longing for love that never truly faded. In the end, she wanted only to be remembered for the joy she brought to others. Do you think Lucille Ball ever received the recognition she truly deserved? Or did Hollywood forget its queen too soon? Let us know in the comments below. And if you still love Lucy as much as we do, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more untold Hollywood stories.